Good morning, everyone. Let us start with day 18 of our regular SAP FICO session. Until day 70, we have covered all the basic concepts that we'll be using going forward. From today onwards, we will do the practical sessions, wherein today I will guide you through the process to install the SAP, the different clients within SAP, and the basic navigation in SAP. First thing that I will be walking you through is the way to install SAP. In row number 3, I have provided the link by which you can install the SAP. So the way to install the SAP is as usual through the link for any other application. Once you click on this application link, you will be able to install on your own. So once the SAP application installed, you will have the interface something like you see on the screen. I will provide the link on the YouTube channel in the description section. The SAP version that will be downloaded with the given link is SAP Logon 770 that you can see on the left top. Once you have downloaded this, you should know about the clients in SAP. So there are three clients in SAP. Those are clients meaning server. Those are development, quality, and production. We have already understood the data flow in SAP, but let us revise the concept once again. So the first is business requirement, second is configuration development, third is master data, fourth is transactions. This is the data flow in SAP. So the first thing that we have to know is the business requirement. Once we have the business requirements in hand, we should configure that or develop that in SAP. Once the configuration or development is in place, we create the master data and then start posting the transactions. So capturing the business requirement is out of SAP. From the configuration step, the process starts in SAP. So if I talk of the development client or development server, there would be two clients within development servers. Let us say client 100 and client 120. So development 100 and development 120 we can say. Development 100 would also be called as golden client or sandbox. So in the golden client, we do the configuration. In the golden client, we do the configuration and we do the development. Configuration is the standard configuration that is available within SAP, and development may be something which is not available in SAP standard and is developed by the technical consultants. Those would form part of the RISE objects, means custom development, which are not in standard SAP. So we understood that in the golden client or development 100 client, the functional configuration is done and technical development is completed. If the configuration is done in 100, then what do we do in 120? In development client 120, we do testing. There are different kind of tests that are performed in SAP because before the SAP project goes live. One is unit testing, one is next is integration testing, and next is user acceptance testing. Among these three testing, the unit testing and integration testing are done by the SAP consultants in development client 120 as an example. Those client numbers can be different, but the unit testing and integration testing is done in the development testing client in general. So in our example, in development client 120, we will be performing the testings that are the unit testing and the system integration testing, being SAP consultant. So once we have configured the system, we have tested the system, and we are confident on the configuration that is done, we move these configurations to quality. In the quality system, user acceptance testing is done, and post the confirmation from the users after they have tested and given the sign off, we move the configuration to production system. So the configuration is moved from development client 100 or the config client to development client 120, that is the testing client. Configuration is also moved from development to quality after unit and integration testing, and it is also moved from development to production after user acceptance testing. So now we understand the flow, that the configuration is done in the config development client, and config is tested by the SAP consultant as part of unit testing and system integration testing in development client 120, that is the test client, and then the user does their testing in user acceptance testing in quality. Once we have the UAT sign off, we move the changes to production, which is the operation server in which the day-to-day transactions are posted. These are about the system landscape. Now we should also understand how do we move the configuration from one client to another, that is from 100 to 120 or from 100 to 400 or 100 to 600. In our example, I mentioned client 100 as the golden client, client 120 in the development as testing client, client 400 as the quality, and client 600 as the production. These numbers may vary when you work for any particular client. Now let us try to understand how the configuration is moved from 100 to 120 or 100 to 400 or 100 to 600, that is from development to development, development to quality, and development to production. So one basic thing you must know, that whenever we save any config, whenever we save any configuration, one TR is generated. This TR is called transport request. This transport request is nothing but storage of configuration, and the configuration is done in 100 client of development. Afterward it is moved into 120 for UT and SIT, that is called unit testing and system integration test, and again from 100 client it is moved to 400, that is quality client for UAT. After that it is moved to client 600, that is PRD client, production client for operation. This we have understood. Now before we move the TR, we should release it, release this. Once the TR is released, it can be moved to another client. So for releasing we use SC09 T code, and for moving to another we use stms underscore import. So the T code to release the TR is SE09 and the T code to move the TR into another client is stms underscore import. We have understood that to release the TR we use SE09 T code, and to import the TR into another client we use stms underscore import T code. But if we want to move from dev 100 to dev 120 client, we will use SCC4 T code. Okay, so there are three T codes that are related to releasing and importing the T code, releasing and importing the TR, that is a transport request. Those three are SC09, stms underscore import, and SCC4. These are the three transaction codes. With this, I hope you have a fair understanding of managing SAP systems, how to install those different clients in SAP, the purpose of each of the client, and how the transports are moved from one client to another. Now I will show you practically in the system how do you set up the development client, how do you set up quality client, how do you set up production client. So let's say you are working in a Tata company, and Tata company has development 100 servers, development 120, quality 400, and PRD 600 client. Then how would you set up these systems? So you will have this kind of interface when you install the SAP. Then you have to click on this create icon, create new connection, click on next, provide the system details which will be given you by the basis team. So let's say Tata SAP dev server 100 client, and server ID I am putting a random number as of now, instance let's say 00, and system ID SAP. So like this you have set up the development client 100. Similarly, if you want to set up development client 120, you will again create a next connection, Tata development 120 application server. I'm just putting a random number, SAP instance 01 and SAP. So with this you have development client 100, development client 120. Similarly, you will have to set up for quality and production, and then when you have to do the configuration, you will log in into development client 100, which is this one. To open any instance in SAP, any server in SAP, you have to just double click. Let me just double click, and then you will have to provide your user ID and your password. I am providing my user ID and my password and logging in. Just clicking on enter. Now you are into the SAP login. So this is how you have to create the connections and you have to log in. With this, I will close the session for today, and we will continue with the next topics that we have in our course content tomorrow. Thank you.